You're listening to the Startup Soirée podcast, episode number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of the Startup Soirée podcast. Today's guest is Lee Morton. Lee runs a company here in Baltimore called ClickSpark, and will shortly be the founder of some other companies here in Baltimore. So he's been a long-term friend of us at Pixelated, and we're really excited to finally get the opportunity to kind of put on display how awesome he is. So without further ado, Lee, welcome to the Startup Soirée podcast.
Yeah, what's up, man? Thank you for bringing me on, man. I'm excited to chat with you.
Oh, man, it's an honor. You know, I think one of the things that makes me so excited to have you as a guest is, our companies are complementary in age, but I think they're also complementary in the way that they kind of disrupted the space, and that's one of the things that's always been so neat about ClickSpark. Even from the very first time when I saw some of your very early films, there was a unique point of view I thought that was represented there. So it's definitely an honor.
It's pretty funny now that I think about it. I remember first starting out, and I'm like, I got a network, and I saw your brand, and I'm like, I can get down with these guys. And I remember I contacted Nick, and I'm like, yeah, let's just chat. And I remember going in your space, and I'm like, oh, they got it going on. They have the vision, they get it, And Nick was so down to earth, and he was real, and that was something I connected with immediately. And I was like, this is awesome.
So just start off with some preface questions. Give us a little background about ClickSpark and when you started, and maybe why you started.
Yeah. Melissa and I were engaged in 2012 looking for wedding videos, and we came across a fellow in New Jersey and fell in love with the art and what it was. I've always adored cinematography and filmmaking and storytelling and visually, all the things that happen. And so we contacted them, we hired them, and we exchanged services of, I'll do some branding for you because that's my background. And then they let me shadow, and I did the grind. I drove up to New Jersey basically every other weekend and shadowed and carried bags and learned as much as I could. In December of 2012, I started what then was Keepsake Films, which is now ClickSpark. So we've been around for about 2 years. And I think, you said it interesting enough. You sort of disturb the market when you come in with a product that's a little bit different. And I think Baltimore and around us had an opportunity to have wedding films that were told truthfully and engaging and authentic and beautiful, if we can, to sort of leverage our cinematography and ability to be present in a wedding day and capture moments as they unfold and put it in a story. And yeah, since then, man, we've just been super honored to work with really great people and collaborate with colleagues and work with really great couples too. So
did you always envision entrepreneurship for yourself? Did you see that even when you were working in marketing and branding, that you might go in that direction?
Well, I've sort of always liked my vision about projects when I worked with people, and especially in the brand, design world. I just always liked my interpretation of the creative problem that was at hand, and I'm like, well, I've always kind of liked my idea, and I would always collaborate. And, finally, I just fell in love with what it is to be in entrepreneurship, with all that comes with it. The buck stops at you. It's your vision that you go forward with. You have the ability to hire great people that collaborate with. I don't know. If I'm speaking truthfully, I don't know. I was so just kind of out in the ocean swimming around, and then fell into this channel, and I can't get out of it. And I love it.
That's a really good reason to be an entrepreneur.
If I'm being honest, I got to be real. I got to be authentic, and that's what happened. So
sure. So in a nutshell, now, obviously, over the course of time that you've been a company, things have changed for you, and you've gotten different opportunities that have, I would assume, pivoted the direction of what you wanted to do and where you want to go. So if you had to encapsulate what ClickSpark does today, what would you say?
I always like being simple. I think people understand simple, and lives are always rushed. So you have to tell a simple story. And ClickSpark, does our best to tell a simple story very well, opposed to a complex one in a poor way. We pride ourselves on getting to know couples and spend time with them, and not just send a PDF and wish for the best. We get to know their lives and, what do you do on a Sunday morning? All those things. And when we get to the day, we leverage our, creative abilities to manage light and interpret light and look at lines and all the artistic values and basic art, to take on a wedding day. And we just said, if we can get to know couples and tell their story very well, then we're going to be relevant. So is that a good answer? I hope it was. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. And then, full disclosure, I had the privilege of hiring ClickSpark to come and help capture the story of my grandfather, who is this irascible 99-year-old Polish man who has invented everything for himself that he couldn't afford, and took names while he was doing it. So Lee came down with his team and helped to capture a really great point of view. And I know that you have a dovetailing interest in storytelling, and I know that you have some new companies that you're thinking about launching in the I believe not so distant future. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's the unquenchable thirst past weddings of telling stories that have impact, that carry adventure, that carry journey. And there's something to family documentaries that I think could be so relevant for families looking to capture the legacy of what maybe their grandparents or their parents have built for the family. And that's sort of one venture idea that I have, and then the other venture is a brand that will hopefully work with other brands that share the same values in filmmaking, in authenticity and adventure. So we said, let's go out and shoot what we would love to shoot in the near future and build a brand that we would love working for, instead of accepting. Because what happens is people accept whatever work they have coming in, and then they take all those shots and they put them together and they call it a demo reel. And, it may not be stuff you want to book in the future, So what we said, what kind of projects and things would we love to shoot in the future? And let's build a brand around that. And we did our best to do that. So hopefully it works out.
Forecasting where you hope to see things go as far as creating the ideal work.
Yeah, you mean in terms of with ClickSpark and another brand and another, like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, well, just kind of realizing that it, the direction that we start off in isn't necessarily always going to end up being the best direction for us, and it's really important to pay attention to what's going on, and it's important to ask yourself if it's what you want, and if the answer comes back no, then the next step is to figure out where that place is and what you need to do to navigate yourself there.
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs will relate to the idea of it's like fail quickly, pivot quickly, and I think we're big on failure here, that, we encourage failure to sort of take risks and be creative and learn very quickly. But I mean, as far as forecasting, the idea is to continue telling stories of love, in weddings, maybe take a less quantity that, so we can still have great customer service, email couples right away, and still get to know them personally. But ClickSpark is going to, which is interesting to speak about, is going to have 2 teams next year. So we are expanding a little bit, where the weddings that I'll take on are less in quantity, but we'll have teams that will go out and shoot weddings and sort of provide a smaller highlight, whereas the weddings that I work on will provide a longer feature film, so that I can, spend time with the family on the weekends, because having a child will put all those into perspective. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's great. So a little bit of personal questions. At the beginning of every day, what motivates you?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I get up pretty early. I get up around 5 a.m. and have coffee and kind of just sit quietly to sort of go over the day's agenda and what we're after. And every day you kind of want to eat the big frog first, the big green frog first, I think they say. And that's my thing, to know that the next couple hours I'm by myself and I can tackle the largest task of the day. And that's important for me, because at the end of the day, you want to feel productive. You want to feel like you're in that right zone. And I mean, I don't know, a morning sunrise motivates me. My family's values motivate me. My team's commitment to excellence motivates me. My peers that are rocking like you guys, I see in the industry that are being innovative, motivates me. People that are vulnerable motivate me as well. So I kind of have all these different angles of motivation, I think.
So building on that, do you have any important daily routines that you go through aside from getting up at 5 and having coffee? Are there any things that you think about as being critical to your everyday?
Yeah. It's going to sound crazy and, to each their own. But, when I hit that shower in the morning, I have some of the most craziest thoughts and stuff that I put into motion afterwards. And I have it's funny to share, but it's true. I mean, to each their own, but I have a notepad on my phone. It's called Shower Notes, and I get out and I just sort of document all those little things that have been some of my greatest ideas, I think, because I'm sort of isolated from all the distractions. It's like you don't have any clothes, you don't have anything. It's kind of just you there and in like a therapeutic state, man. And that's something I can't, also around 2:00 is sort of when you die down a little bit. So it's definitely a resting time for me in the day to sort of daydream and then reestablish that I do everything that I wanted to do and then tie up any loose ends before the family gets home around, 4 or 5. And at that point, it's about a 12-hour day. So I think it's time to put the pencil down, put the hatchet down and be with them, because that's one of the most important daily routines. So.
Do you remember that Reverend Run TV show, Run's House?
Yeah, I do.
And he would either start every episode or end every episode in that massive bathtub, on his BlackBerry, writing his notes.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. That's funny.
So Nick, he takes a bath every morning because his back is really dodgy.
Oh wow!
And that's like a really critical point of his morning, and something that he's done since he was a teenager.
Really?
So whenever he talks about it, and I picture it, like my mental image, if I have to have a mental image, is definitely it's not Nick at all. It's Reverend Run, like in that bathtub, like typing on his BlackBerry, being like, "This is the shit that inspired me today," or like, "This is what I feel like." So that's my go-to when people tell me about their kind of like. They're documenting their morning thoughts, but it's incredible how much a shower and solitude really opens up that the potential of the mind and your imagination, and it delivers you all of this crazy stuff, all these insights, and all this perspective on things going on in your life that when you don't take that time out. For me, another big one is driving. I'm definitely really a very dedicated music consumer, and I also listen to lots of business podcasts, but I also don't put anything on, and I can recognize when I need to not have anything on, and the things that come to my mind when I'm driving and I'm not blocking my drive up with other content being fed to me is just so eye-opening.
Yeah, and I think if you're constantly being fed or distracted or noise of social media, it's like your mind doesn't have time to cycle or to generate or to dive in your reservoir of inspiration and mix up something new, and that is so vital to innovating, because that's what innovation is, so.
Sure. So how about reading? Do you do you read every day? And if yes, what do you read?
Yeah, I'm not a reader. It's not really a passion of mine. When I do, it's sort of just like creative business books about being a freelancer, creative entrepreneur, or whatever. But no titles off the top of my head. I mean, they're sitting next to my nightstand. I guess I don't read them that often for me to know the titles. But I'm not a reader.
So if you had to choose 3 tasks that you spend the majority of your day doing, what would they be?
3 tasks that I do majority of my day.
Yeah, like the three things that you consider to be the most critical part of your business day.
Feedback with my team is a big part of my day. We have sort of in my basement, we have a studio, and we don't like work all day and then stop and then look. It's like every couple of hours we're refining. So if I'm working on an edit, it's critical for us to always see the work, and then I guess it's that fail quick, pivot quickly, in our edits. So we're like, oh, okay, I see the direction you're going here. Let's go here or go there. How's this going? So every hour or two, I'm always giving feedback and creative direction. Part of my day is emailing, communication. I like to communicate with people as quickly as I can. I know people appreciate that. I appreciate it on my end. With filmmaking, it's such a collaborative art, so there's music, there's sound, there's shots and coloring, and so it's such a diverse art. So I'm like hyper-minded, so I'm always kind of bouncing around doing different things. And part of that has been our upcoming brand, refining that film and coloring it, and working with our sound designer to make sure that all the sounds are right. And I guess the third thing would be family. Why isn't that a task? Why isn't that something that should be a priority for the day? So,
good answers. When you're looking to when you structure your teams and you have your teams kind of set up, and as you're moving forward to adding a second shooting team for ClickSpark, how do you get the most production out of them? How do you how do you implement the systems that keep the production level high but also keeps control of quality?
Yeah, it's something that I worry about a lot, and I'm really challenged with. I think if you can lead by example, that goes really, really far with people. In our team, if I got to run cables, I'll do it. If I got to direct a vision of the shot, I'll do it. And I think when other guys under me sort of see that, it motivates them to know that, no man too big. You get down and dirty, you work your ass off. It doesn't really matter. But I think passionately sharing a vision, you know what I mean? And also allowing other people to contribute to that vision, makes the team very, very collaborative, because we are all invested in it. We all have different parts, we have different say. So that's important. And, like you said, the quality aspect, never settling. It's so easy to get done with something, and it's a B-. The client will never know, how much that 10% could make an impact. And I just remind them of that difference, and every single shot, it's, what could we do different to give that 15% of difference. And I think they see it from me, and I always give them, different challenges to go out on their own to do it, give them feedback right away, and it's just this quick cycle of revolving into what they can be. And I think culture goes a long way too. When someone is part of a great culture, I think they're just going to believe in it so much more, because they understand what we're doing for a bigger purpose than just the task at hand.
Good answer. You knocked out another question with that answer, which would have just been, how important is culture to your business?
Yeah, and mine's everything. I treat my guys like a family. We do, like, we're honest with each other. Like, if we're if we do something personally that we're not digging, you know what I mean? We bring it up. We do a thing called whiffling, what I feel like expressing, and it's just like, dude, you know what I'm thinking? Like, you rock this, and I just want to like make it very apparent that, you crush that. Or if you're like, dude, this is kind of snowballing for me. I just wanted to kind of throw it out there because I don't think we did that the right way. Or if you got to talk to someone personally, let's do it up, because you don't ever want anything to snowball. So that culture is allowed to do that because we have sort of systems in place, where shit doesn't hit the fan. We do a thing called, what is it? I think it's like SCS, show cool shit. Once, every couple weeks, and we just show our favorite films. We talk about them, we collaborate about them, just to keep the inspiration fresh. So yeah,
that's awesome. Those are not only do they sound really effective, but they sound really fun. As you're well aware, but maybe everyone out there listening isn't well aware. From the very beginning, one of the things that we've held is one of the kind of central, most important tenets at Pixelated is the culture, and that it maintain its kind of egalitarian, fun. Put into it what you want to put into it, and you're going to see the return for that. And really, if you're gonna work on anything, make sure that you care about working on it. Otherwise, quit or don't work on it, because we just want people that are around us that want to be working on what they're working on. And if we're all, if we've all bought in on the same kind of agreement, then we don't have to worry about that stuff, because we're all here for the right reasons.
Yeah. The other thing that I just thought of, for the getting the most production out of your team, is the idea of being vulnerable. And I've recently sort of read that innovation and change and all these other like corporate keywords are sort of all funded and founded by the idea of vulnerability. And to create is to be vulnerable, and we need to sort of put our ego hats, aside, or scared of whatever, and be vulnerable, and to say, I'm going to throw this out there, man. Like, what do you think? Or this is just a thought, guys, and I think from the top down, me being vulnerable about ideas, will allow them to contribute ideas and never be sort of too hesitant to share, or whatever. But it starts at the top, and it doesn't mean it's going to make it out to the public. We have so many ideas and failures that happen internally, but some of our best work has happened because we were just vulnerable and just shared. So
sure, that's a great philosophy. I mean, I think it, particularly in terms of raising up the people that are part of your organization. One of the things that we really routinely say to everyone that comes here to work is, when you decide to quit working for us, we want it to be because you're deciding to go start your own company. And we want you to know that we're ready to support that. When that time comes, let us know. So as opposed to it being a negative thing, it can be a positive thing, and there would be no greater compliment than that. That's the way to lose an employee, when they decide to go and start their own thing, and they've learned the skills, great. and they've gained the confidence to know that if they take small steps, that they can put those together, and then before too long they'll be running, and that's really cool. All right, we're drawing to the end here. I've got 2 more questions, and they're just going to be kind of like little business hustle questions. When it comes to picking up, when it comes to acquiring clients, whether it be social or maybe the more unique ways that you do it, not so much going and participating in trade shows, but kind of the ways that you drive traffic maybe to your web. What does ClickSpark do that maybe is a little bit different than someone else?
I hope I don't have a poor answer for this.
If you do, I'll just delete it.
Yeah, please do, because I'm gonna look. We don't spend a lot. We spend our time on making great products. Like we spend a lot of time making films so great that they have to share it on Facebook, right? And they have to share it in an email chain with their family. They have to share it. And if they don't, because to the couple it's going to be great, but it's to the outside people that that want to see their story and relate to it. And if we just focus on making really, really, really great films, people are going to be engaged. And that alone has afforded us enough work and interest that we receive inquiries, and that's it. I don't know if I want to delve outside of that and invest energy when I don't really need to. If we can just focus on making really great films, then people are going to come our way and they're going to be interested. So
that is the best answer, Lee.
I don't know, man. I hope it was. I mean, that's honestly what we do. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that the best answer possible is that you you put your energy and your heart into what you do, and you do it so loud, and you do it so well, and you do it so consistently that people can't help but recognize how great it is, and want to lift it up because it's great for them, not necessarily that it's just great for you, that you do something that is so great for someone else that they can't help but share it around. So I think that's the perfect answer.
Yeah, and it's Facebook. Facebook. If they watch it, that's great. If they hit the like, that's even better. And if you take the time to comment, that's insane. And if you share it, that's just unbelievable.
Sure. So in terms of recognizing how critical Facebook is for you, do you or your team spend much time in regards to the analytics of the way your video content can be served to make it go further than different ways?
That's a good question. Yeah, and I do. Yeah, Instagram is another popular medium for us to, push out content, and it's been great. There's a site out there that can analyze the best times to share, and I think personally though, because every person is different and every your following is different. So I forget what the website is, but it's something about Instagram that will allow you to do that, and we sort of pay attention to that. And then the Facebook analytics, we sort of know who's liking our films, which films get the most comments, the length of the films that result in that. So we have to be cognizant on what we're sharing on Facebook and when and what times. But yeah, you definitely need to pay attention to that.
Is the tool you're talking about Iconosquare?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty incredible tool. We'll link to that in the show notes. So if you guys out there haven't used this tool before, you can check it out. It's you log into your Instagram account and it kind of parses everything that's ever happened, and it gives you analytics on your most supportive people that are liking your stuff and who's regramming it and who's mentioning you, and the best times a day for the bulk of your followers to be online, so you can really place your content in the stream when the water is the highest, if you will. There's also a really good one, Lee. I don't know if you use it or not. It's called it's called there's a Twitter one, and now I can't think what it is. Well, one, there's Twitter Analytics now, which is something that Twitter actually supports themselves, and that is really incredible. But there's another one as well that I use. I'll have to if I think about it, I'll put that in the show notes as well. But that's a really good one. So just to pull apart the marketing geek info a little bit more, I'm curious if you guys are uploading your video content directly onto Facebook right now, or if you're still just hosting it on Vimeo and then posting that player on through.
Right. So there's different sort of reasons and ways to do different things. We do 3 different ways. So we put it on our blog, which is on our website, so that if someone visits our site, they have the most up-to-date content that we have. It's on our blog. The Vimeo will put our videos on Vimeo, which then go on our blog. And then sometimes we will go right onto Facebook, directly upload. Yeah, it just sort of depends on the situation of the film, how long it is, the length, and who's in it, as far as who could share the most. And what do we? I don't always want to push out on Facebook because then it could get redundant. So we try to switch it up. So.
That's great. We've definitely recognized, you always have to stay in front of the curve, and you have to always do research about kind of the most up-to-date ways to serve your content, because the algorithms constantly change. So you need to stay abreast of that. And we had caught wind that Facebook video was performing exceptionally well, because they're really trying to start to compete with YouTube in terms of being a host for video content. So what we did is I dusted off my latent music composition skills and started just writing tracks kind of
That's awesome.
at a clip, so that way we could start to have ownership over all of the different pieces of media that we were putting into our content. We didn't have to be concerned about using something inappropriately or not being able to place it on one platform versus another. But definitely starting to upload video content directly onto Facebook, you know, something that we would have uploaded onto YouTube and then shared across that would have gotten, you know, maybe 100 views and 2 likes. You take that same piece of content and you upload it directly to Facebook, and it's literally getting watched 1,200 times and seen by, you know, 2,500 people without us doing anything, without us spending any money. And then, you know, you put even a small amount of dollars behind promoting something that's already performing really well, and it kind of goes wild. So it's been a fun experiment to kind of play with that and push it around.
It's obvious, right? It's sort of obvious to me that what that is that, you know, Facebook is going to favor its, you know, content uploaded natively, you know, and that's, if they're going to favor that, then I have to react as a business owner, you know, and push content their way if they're going to sort of favor, you know, uploads natively on their site. So
yeah, absolutely.
How we doing? Okay.
Yeah, man, we're good, Lee. This is that was my last question that I had for you. So I just want to wrap it up and ask you to let the listeners out there know the best way for them to either get in touch with you or if they just want to follow along and keep an eye on ClickSpark.
Sure. Yeah. So our site is www.clickspark. One word. Some people think it's 2 words. www.clickspark.it is our site, and we're on Facebook as well. You can search us for ClickSpark, and then we are heavily on Instagram as my family and work on there. I've tried to balance both, but it's just at ClickSpark. Feel free to, you know, follow along, and, you know, if anyone sort of wants to chat about business over coffee and ideas and you know, what we can do to collaborate to make the city better, or you know, push ideas further, you know, I'm all about it, and I think there's a lot of talent in the city, and I'm excited to keep pushing forward. You know, so thanks for letting me be here.
Hey, man, thanks for doing what you're doing to be here, and I will look forward to seeing you on Thursday night for the very first startup soiree.
I will be there for sure, man, for sure.
Great. All right, Lee. Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Peace. All right, guys, you heard it. Lee Morton, ClickSpark, awesome people. This wraps it up for this episode of the Startup Soirée podcast. If you haven't yet, I urge you to subscribe, and please do head over to the iTunes store, leave us a quick review. A little bit goes a long way. Until next week, peace.